Well, the good news is we brought teenage pregnancy down by, I think, something like 25% over the last 10 years. The bad news is there's still an awful lot of girls who get pregnant at a very early age when history shows it's very difficult to raise a child and give the kind of child the care that it needs when the parent just is very young and hasn't had the experience of adulthood. And it's also true that it's terrible for the young people that get pregnant. They tend to drop out of school, never get an education, and their prospects are bad.
And there, of course, Mayor Bloomberg, over 2,200 New York City residents become mothers by the age of 17. About 70% of those teen mothers end up dropping out of school. Now, in order to deal with the issue, the New York City school system began a pilot program last year, and they did it in 5 schools. It allowed students to get emergency contraception or the morning after pill, oftentimes without parental approval. And now the program, it's expanding. New York City public schools, they've handed out condoms for years. That's not anything new, but now emergency contraception will be available at 13 New York City high schools. Parents may bar their children from getting pregnancy tests or contraceptives if they sign and return an opt-out statement. If they don't, schools can confidentially give the contraception without permission. An average of 1% to 2% of parents at each school in the pilot program have returned those opt-out sheets. Last year, when the plan was implemented, it was about 5% of the 12,000 girls enrolled in those programs were given the morning after pill. Now, this news, it has set New Yorkers ablaze. Here, just a sampling of some of the reaction you folks at home have been sending in, and let's give you a little idea. Let's start with Heather, who wrote, "No, condoms are one thing, but this is going way above what the school should have the authority to do. This is a decision that should be between parents and the teenager." But Nicole said, "Not all teens are open with their parents about this. So if a teen can go to someone they trust to prevent pregnancy, I say go for it." Now, we got such an overwhelming amount of reaction that we decided tonight that we will continue the dialogue. And we're opening up our phone lines, in fact, to you, the audience, tonight. So get on those lines right now. The number, 888-766-2428. Again, that number, 38766-2428. We'll get to your phone calls in just a moment. Now, I want to bring in our next guest who joins our panel, Kelly Baden, Director of Policy at NARAL Pro-Choice New York. Kelly, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
You know, these guys will all weigh in with their thoughts, but for me, I think like many New Yorkers, I'm pro-choice. I believe I'm a realist, that I don't live in the dream world. But I now find myself a parent, and I got a couple daughters. And the idea that if I miss a sheet coming home with an opt-out, or the kids don't bring it home, or whatever else, it's incumbent on me to know what's going on at the school, rather than the school coming to me to ask about, you know, basically a prescription that they're going to be handing out on such a serious decision when you could have kids as young as 14 or so being part of the program. Do you understand the reservations of people who even believe in choice, that say, wait a minute, this is going too far?
Sure, and I think family communication is key, and I think everyone agrees that ideally teens would be able to communicate with their parents about all kinds of things, including their sexual health and reproductive lives. In reality, again, it's probably not always necessarily the case. And I think what's great about this program and what's great about New York is that we have recognized that it is vital for teens to be able to have confidentiality around the reproductive health care services they need to access in order to make healthy decisions, in order to make the best decisions, in order to be safe no matter what they're doing. And so bringing this program into schools where kids are, where teens are, is really a great way to expand access, and I think it should be applauded, especially considering that policymakers around the country are moving in an opposite direction.
I know the real world is, especially, and we're going to get into a second, Dominic's point as to where these pilot programs have been done, okay, but beyond the geography of it, there's one thing with, hey, you know, you've got parents who are indifferent, or parents that, you know, there's a risk of, you know, that they won't listen or whatever else. But what if there's a parent out there that doesn't realize, because both of them work, let's say, that the child is involved in at-risk behavior? And you want to be part of not just the immediate decision about a pregnancy and whether or not, you know, it's right for the kid and whatsoever, but to try and create an environment to change that dangerous behavior so it doesn't keep perpetuating itself. Nobody thinks a 14 or 15-year-old having, you know, sex is a good idea. So they're not even part of the loop here. And the informed consent is, it's kind of like a gotcha game where if you don't get in the loop in the beginning, the school knows more than you do about your own kid.
Well, look, if there was a way to legislate good parent-teen relationships, I would love to hear it. I don't think that exists, and so we have to deal with what we have, which is making sure that teens can get the health care that they need, hoping that they have a good relationship with their parent, hoping that the physician or healthcare provider they're speaking with encourages them to have these discussions with their parents as well.
Now, we're going to get a reaction from our callers, and these guys will weigh in on the other side of the break, but you know one of the arguments is going to be it's harder to get a large Diet Coke in a public school in New York City than it is to get the morning after pill. It seems that this is going, it seems a little out of whack here where we can and can't weigh in, but you'll hear that, I'm sure. But Kelly, stay with us. I'm sure the three of these guys got something to say, and we want to hear what you have to say as well. We'll get to your online reaction and your phone calls, 387-666-2428. Your reaction right after this.